Hello, dear friends, and welcome. I am so glad you have joined me again. And if this is your first time, you are very welcome. I like to talk about Jesus before Christianity and how his teachings are simply to love, share empathy, and be compassionate. In the video I made about my personal experience of finding my divine spark, which I will include in the description below, I told of a family party when all my children and grandchildren were there. A day in the garden of joy and love, one of those golden times that we lock away as happy memories. The full story, as I say, is in the other video, but it transpired the subject came around about God as we talked about a family event, and my son asked me when my views on God changed. From nowhere, really, I exclaimed, "You don't need God, but if everyone lived their lives like Jesus, what a wonderful world it would be." My son looked at me and said, "What are you going to call this new religion?" I laughed. The last thing the world needs is another religion. They've caused enough wars and persecution already. "Okay," he replied, "but if it did need a name, you could call it, 'I don't believe in God, but Jesus has a point.'" We all laughed, but that is where my spiritual journey began. I don't intend to ram my beliefs onto others. I am simply telling or sharing my thoughts and experiences with you in the hope it may help you find your divine. Seriously, when I read some comments, I think, if it doesn't resonate with you, then leave it behind. I'm not telling you there will be a fiery hell because you don't believe what I believe. Some people say that Jesus always spoke in parables, so only those willing to think about what he says will get it. Sadly, they then go on to say only the intelligent will understand. We know Jesus didn't think too highly of the academics and lawmakers of his own religion, so I doubt he wanted to speak only to intellectuals. Of course, this does mean that anyone can interpret the parables their way and tell others what they mean. I have taken some parables and explained what I think they mean, but I always say, look inside yourself, listen to yourself, and see how they resonate with you. It's what you sense as real and how you feel that matters. We're diving into why I can say, I don't believe in God, but Jesus has a point. Sounds crazy, right? Well, get ready because we're about to go on a spiritual ride. First off, let's talk about the God I don't believe in. You know the one? That big guy in the sky, sitting on a cloud, long white beard, keeping a naughty and nice list like some cosmic Santa Claus. The all-powerful, all-knowing being who's supposedly controlling everything, yet for some reason lets a whole lot of bad stuff happen. Yes, that's the God I don't believe in. This God, according to many traditional teachings, is separate from us. He's up there, we're down here, and never the twain shall meet. Except maybe after we die, if we've been good enough. Oh, and he's got a temper. Old Testament style, flood the earth, rain fire and brimstone, and don't forget destroying whole cities kind of temper. Does this sound like the loving Father Jesus talked about? I don't think so. And that's where things get really interesting. Because when you look at what Jesus actually said and did, it often contradicts this image of God. Jesus talked about a God of love, not fear. He spoke about finding the kingdom of heaven within you, not in some far-off celestial realm. He treated everyone, even those society rejected, with compassion and respect. Doesn't sound much like the angry, judgmental God we often hear about, does it? So, what if, and I know this is a big what if, but what if Jesus was massively misunderstood? What if, over the centuries, his radical, loving message got twisted into something he never intended? Think about it. Jesus wasn't talking about setting up a new religion. He wasn't handing out rule books or establishing a hierarchy. He was inviting people into a new way of seeing themselves and the world. A way based on love, compassion, and the recognition of the divine within each person. But that message? It's not always convenient for those in power. It's a lot easier to control people if you can convince them that God is angry, that they're sinful, and that they need the church to save them. So over time, Jesus' teachings got repackaged into something more manageable. The result? A Christianity that often looks nothing like Christ. A God that often looks nothing like the loving Father Jesus described. And a whole lot of people feeling disconnected from their own spiritual nature. But here's the good news, beautiful souls. We can rediscover what Jesus was really talking about. We can peel back the layers of misunderstanding and get to the heart of his teachings. And when we do, we might just find that even if we don't believe in the traditional concept of God, Jesus still has a whole lot of valuable things to say. So, are you ready to dive deeper? Are you ready to explore what Jesus might really have been talking about? Then hold on, because I look at Jesus' radical message about the kingdom within. Trust me, if it doesn't blow your mind, it will free it from the constraints of meaningless doctrine. Let's look into Jesus' most radical message, one that's been hiding in plain sight all this time. We're talking about the kingdom of God, but not the way you might have heard it before. Now, you've probably heard preachers talk about the kingdom of God like it's some far-off place we go when we die if we've been good little boys and girls. But hold on to your hats, because that's not what Jesus was saying at all. In Luke 17:21, Jesus drops this bombshell. The kingdom of God is within you. Wait, what? Within us? That's right. Jesus wasn't pointing to the sky. He was pointing to our hearts. This is for those of you that like to cling to the New Testament. He was saying that the divine isn't some distant, unreachable thing. It's right here, inside each and every one of us. But it gets better. In the Gospel of Thomas, that's one of those Gnostic texts the church wasn't too keen on us reading, Jesus says, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. It's everywhere. It's not some exclusive club we're trying to get into. It's the very fabric of our being and the world around us. Now, does this sound like he's talking about an external deity? Some big guy in the sky watching our every move? No way. This is all about inner divinity, about recognizing the spark of the sacred that's within each of us. It's like we're all little light bulbs on a string of Christmas lights, and the divine is the electricity flowing through all of us. We're all unique, all individual, but we're all connected to the same source. And when we realize that, when we really get it, that's when the kingdom of God becomes real. But wait, there's more. In another Gnostic text, the Gospel of Mary, Jesus tells us that the kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed. It's not about waiting for some future event or heavenly reward. It's about waking up to who we really are, right here, right now. This idea of inner divinity, of the kingdom being within us, it changes everything. It means we don't need an intermediary to connect with the divine. We don't need to look outside ourselves for salvation or enlightenment. It's all right here, waiting for us to recognize it. And you know what? This makes a whole lot more sense than the idea of an external God who's somehow separate from his creation. I mean, if God is all-powerful and all-present, wouldn't that mean God is in everything, including us? Now, I know this might sound a bit out there if you're used to traditional Christian teachings, but stick with me, beautiful souls, because this understanding of Jesus' message, it's not just mind-blowing, it's life-changing. As I like to keep saying, when we start to see ourselves and others as bearers of this divine spark, it changes how we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, how we see the world. Suddenly, every person we meet is sacred. Every moment is an opportunity to experience the divine. So there you have it. Jesus wasn't talking about some far-off kingdom we need to strive to enter. He was inviting us to wake up to the kingdom that's already here, already within us. And let me tell you, that's a message worth spreading. Stay tuned, beautiful souls, because next we're going to dive deeper into this idea of the divine spark and what it means for us. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. All right, beautiful friends, we're in the home stretch now. We've talked about the God I don't believe in. We've explored Jesus' radical message about the kingdom within. And now we're getting to the really juicy part. How to actually live this stuff. So you might be wondering, Paul, How do we apply Jesus' teachings if we're not buying into the whole traditional God thing? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to show you how this approach can absolutely transform your life. First off, let's talk about practical application. Jesus was all about love, compassion, and treating others the way you'd want to be treated. That's not rocket science. It's about being kind, even when it's tough. It's about forgiving, even when someone's really pushed your buttons. It's about seeing the divine spark in everyone. Yeah, even that guy who cut you off in traffic. Try this. Next time you're dealing with a difficult person, take a deep breath and remember, they've got that same divine light in them that you do. They're probably just having a rough day. Respond with kindness instead of anger, and watch how it changes the whole interaction. Or simply, when you get that flash of anger, say when someone jumps the queue, be aware of that feeling and recognize it. But don't respond out of the anger. This keeps your vibrations higher, for want of a better word. Remember, we don't know their circumstances, and if we are all honest, we have done it ourselves when we have really needed to. Now, let's talk about connecting with your inner divinity, your soul. This isn't about hearing voices or having visions. It's about tuning into that quiet wisdom that's always there inside you. It's like we're all radio receivers, and our soul is broadcasting 24/7. We just need to learn how to tune in. Here's a simple practice. Take a few minutes each day to sit quietly. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and just listen. Not to the chatter in your head, but to that deeper, quieter voice. That's your soul, your inner divinity, and it's got some pretty amazing things to tell you if you listen. And let me tell you, beautiful people, when you start living from this place of inner connection, it's like somebody turned the lights on in a room you didn't even know was dark. Suddenly, you're seeing everything more clearly. You're making decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear. You're treating yourself and others with more compassion. This approach to spirituality, it's not about following a bunch of rules or believing in a deity you can't see. It's about recognizing the divinity in yourself and everything around you. It's about living from a place of love and connection rather than fear and separation. And the best part? You don't need anyone's permission to do this. You don't need to join a church or follow a guru. This is between you and that divine spark inside you. It's about your direct experience of the sacred in every moment. Now, I'm not saying it's always easy. We've got a lot of old programming to overcome. But every time you choose love over fear, every time you listen to that inner wisdom instead of your ego, you're taking a step on this transformative path. So there you have it, beautiful souls. Living Jesus' teachings without traditional God belief. It's not about worshipping an external deity. It's about recognizing the divine within yourself and everyone else. It's about living from a place of love, compassion, and inner wisdom. Are you ready to give it a try? Are you ready to start living from that place of inner divinity? Trust me, once you start, you'll wonder how you ever lived any other way. Remember, the kingdom is within you. All you have to do is recognize it and let it shine. Thank you for coming this far with me, and please subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the channel to grow. Remember, dear friend, this is about your inner spark, your divine spark, and how you connect with yours will be unique to you. I wouldn't dream of telling you what to do. All I can give you is advice and show you what I believe. What is my truth is not necessarily yours. I hope you realize this is not an AI channel. This is me. My name is Paul, and I have been on my journey for about a year. It was 4 months ago I felt compelled to make my first video. Again, let me ask you if this all resonates, or you think it might do. Subscribe, comment, and share with others you think might find my content of interest. If you haven't seen it, then do view my video, The Man Who Talks to His Soul. It will show you my journey and may help you with yours. Link in the description. Thank you, lovely friend. And until next time, goodbye.